Welcome to Kramer's Films That Changed the World. And the official world premiere of Teach Your Children Well. But I'm going to start by announcing some very special guests we have just to get everything kicked off before we see the film. The first one is someone who's an amazing entertainer. So ladies and gentlemen, Miss Coco Peru.
Hello. Good afternoon, and thank you for being here today. First of all, I'd like to acknowledge Kat Kramer for her passionate commitment to this film. You know, when I first created Coco Peru 20 years ago, in addition to wanting to be an entertainer, I was even more driven at the time to be an entertainer/activist. I learned as a young gay man that storytelling is one of the most powerful tools in empowering ourselves while educating others. You throw some drag into that mix and you've got a Coco Peru show. Seriously though, I had made up my mind back then that no other child should ever have to go through what I went through. And one of the themes that I addressed in my first show was bullying. My creating Coco was a way for me to embrace and celebrate everything I had been taught to hate about myself. Over the course of 20 years, bullying is a subject I have continued to talk about both on and off stage. And recently, bullying has become a part of our national conversation, and I can't help but honestly think, well, it's about fucking time. Unfortunately, it took the suicides of a few beautiful young people to get this chronic problem at the forefront of our nation's attention. Over a year ago, both associate producer Paul Belcito and producer Stephen Roche came to see my show in Long Beach. Needless to say, they were completely blown away. And after the show, they asked if I would consider being in a documentary about bullying. And although I didn't know them, I said absolutely yes when. It was being directed by their friend, Gary Takeshian, and they came to my house and we filmed it. And then, not long after that, Stephen called me again and he asked if I knew any celebrities that might be willing to narrate the film. Now, I had just done an event with Lily Tomlin, and as soon as I heard Stephen say narrator, I thought of Lily. Not only was Lily a huge celebrity and icon of our community, but I knew that Lily, back in 1995, had lent her voice to a documentary that had a huge impact on me called The Celluloid Closet. Based on Vito Russo's book, it was a film that looked at the history of Hollywood's depictions of gay people in film. It was a beautiful and important documentary, but personally, I remember how comforted I was that Lily had narrated this film. As a young gay man, it was empowering to know that Lily Tomlin, who I had idolized all my life, had lent her voice to this film. Both times that I went to see it in the theater, that bullying activist in me left that theater empowered, knowing that, in the very least, Lily was in my corner. So I was convinced that I had to call Lily and ask her to be a part of this film. However, no sooner did I hang up with Stephen, my conviction ebbed, and I was suddenly flooded with fear and questioned myself, who the hell am I to call Lily Tomlin and say, Lily, listen, I was part of this little short documentary and I think you should narrate it. Yet I knew that the issue of bullying was so much bigger than my fears. In fact, my fears were nothing compared to the fears and hopelessness that those young people who ended their lives must have felt. And so I picked up the phone. So it gives me great pleasure to introduce to you actress/comedian/activist Lily Tomlin.
Coco Peru, if you ever get a chance to see Miss Coco Peru on the stage, Coco is so wonderful, so insightful. so special. And so when I was called and given this opportunity, I said, oh God, yes, I would just love to be a part of it. And I did, and of course they helped me, they talked me through it, and I'm not a good narrator. They have to when I did Celluloid Closet, I had to go in and pretend that they had to put somebody in the room with me and pretend they were like from another country and didn't speak English. And I tried to explain to them what was going on. Anyway, I've said this, I've talked about this before, but my brother was terribly bullied as a kid, and I saw how much he suffered and was discounted, diminished, made to feel worthless, made to feel hopeless and full of despair. He stopped going to school, he would hide out. He did the most sad and horrific things. I thank myself and everybody else in the world that he turned out to have a happy, reasonably happy. That's all we can expect for any of us. He's had a reasonably happy life, but oh God, it was horrible. And this is many, many decades ago, so I can't even imagine what kids go through today. And with cyberbullying and the relentless 24-hour barrage of criticism, hatefulness, discounting that goes on. So I am so happy you're here, and we certainly hope that this film teach your children well. The operative word here is teach, because everybody needs to be educated outside of the system that we live in, that being the dominant, pretending or thinking that you're superior is not the way of any kind of decent life. And educators and parents and students all need to be educated to the idea that bullying is not okay. And we're going to hopefully change that. And kids like my brother won't have to endure the sadness and horror of being bullied. So thank you all for being here. I think it's great.